Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 17 of the EFL Magazine Business Podcast. Today's guest is Christina Rebuffet. Christina is the founder of Speak of English with Christina. She's a business English trainer and neurolanguage coach. Her YouTube channel has more than 460,000 subscribers and 13 million views. She's originally from the US, but now lives in the French Alps. I talked to Christina about finding a niche, about customer avatars, tracking, pricing, marketing, and positioning. There's really a lot of great value in this, and I had a great time chatting to Christina, and I hope...
Hey everyone, buckle up for a new episode of the EFL Magazine Business Podcast, the one and only podcast made to help you launch your business or take your existing business to a level of success you could never have imagined. Whether you're a school owner, freelancer, publisher, or other entrepreneur, you're sure to pick up lots of actionable advice when you listen to the EFL Magazine Business Podcast. Remember to visit eflmagazine.com for great articles and features. Without further ado, here's your host, the founder of EFL Magazine, Philip Pound.
Welcome back, everybody, to the latest EFL Magazine Business Podcast. And, oh my God, I've forgotten already. Christina,
yes.
Please say your name again for me.
Christina Rebuffet. That's it, because we were discussing how to pronounce it. And I was like, whatever, but yeah.
And I got
many pronunciations.
Yeah, I know. And I got totally confused and a bit of stage fright there. So your website is ChristinaRebuffet.com.
Yes.
And you're the creator of that website and your own
Indeed.
online school. Can you tell me a little bit more about your school, what you do?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Well, it started out with just me, basically, teaching like over Skype or on Zoom or something like that. And originally, that's what I had planned. It was just going to be me teaching online as people contacted me and things like that. And just over time, we got so many people asking for lessons that I couldn't do everything myself. And just little by little, I added teachers to the team. And now there are 8 of us in total. So yeah, it's just, kind of organically grown over time based on the demand, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. So what you offer mostly is online lessons, synchronous, asynchronous. Do you do like online courses?
Yeah,
as well?
And that's actually a interesting point too, because like when I started, I think a lot of people, they see online this, sort of this holy grail of passive income, create your course and put it on autopilot and it will sell itself and you can lay on the beach and watch money come into your account and everything. And I was like, oh, wow, I want to do that. So I actually, when I started out, it was like me teaching synchronous lessons online and creating asynchronous online courses to be able to sort of sell that and have that passive income and create it once and sell it multiple times and things like that. And so I've created 3 online courses that are, asynchronous self-study courses. But sort of just with experience and testing out different things and different, I guess we call them marketing campaigns or product launches. One of the things that we have noticed, at least for, my business and our audience, is that it is the synchronous, the live sessions that people are a lot more attracted to and more willing to pay for. I guess it's just because there is so much free content out there on the internet for learning English by yourself in front of a computer. Now, I know there are lots of other teachers that are that do very well by selling these online self-study courses. And I would like to know their secrets, because what we found out just through over the years is that the asynchronous self-study courses, they didn't sell as well as the live stuff. So we sort of focus more on the live stuff now.
Okay. Well, there's a few podcast ideas for me. Get some people on about asynchronous courses, and
Yes,
Christina, you
because
can
I would listen
listen, and
to
we can
every
all
one of them to
benefit.
figure out what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I've a few people in mind. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
So going back a little bit, tell me a little bit about your background. You're from and how you got into English language teaching.
Yeah. So I'm from the US, but I live in France now. I'm in the French Alps. I'm in Grenoble. And I've been here for about 15 years. But I started teaching English about the same time that I came over to Grenoble to do my master's degree, which is in English language studies. And it was like, I mean, I think like a lot of people who are in this industry, I really just kind of fell into it in that I had a friend who was working at the Chamber of Commerce. He said, "Hey, we need English teachers." And I said, "Well, I don't have my degree yet." And he said, "Yeah, but you're American. You can do." And I was like, "Okay." So very much that native speaker, I guess, privilege, I would say, recognize it for what it is. And that's how I got started, was just doing basically like having a student job teaching English at the local Chamber of Commerce. And when I finished my master's degree, I just kind of continued along that path. I started working at a training organization, teaching business English. Finally, I did my DELTA, so the Diploma of English Language Teaching to Adults. Did the Neurolanguage Coaching certification about 2 years ago. And just
with Rachel Paling, who we had on a few episodes ago. So please do listen to that one.
Yeah. And so like I said, started just kind of, I needed a student job, and it was a bit better than working at McDonald's or something, and discovered, hey, I kind of like this, and it's fun and it's interesting, and then I kept going, and actually got a proper ELT certification and continued developing. And I think that's something that has always continued since the beginning, is continuing to learn things and develop my skills and my knowledge. And like even now, I'm always learning things as I go, basically. And I think that's part of the fun, part of the frustration, but part of the fun also.
Sure. And we can talk about the frustrations and the fun. So before we came on air, you talked about, a lot of the stuff you learned online. And I'm sure, like a lot of people who start off with online, or sometimes they call lifestyle businesses, there's the classic book, isn't there? Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week.
Yeah, I've got that one on my bookshelf right now.
You got a signed copy. So you started off in that area as well. What kind of books did you start off with? What kind of people did you follow? Podcasts?
At the beginning. So I guess the books that really had an influence on me at the beginning was The 4-Hour Work Week, The $100 Startup by Chris Guillebeau, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers, I think. Because there was, kind of that moment of, but I have a job in a company, but if I create my own company, there's no security and no unemployment, and you don't get paid during summer vacation, and all of that fear, around, what if it doesn't work? What if I end up with no salary or anything like that? So I would say those are 3 of the books that really helped me in the beginning. As for who did I follow, Marie Forleo was a big influence, both in terms of the content that she puts out and also like the style and what she does in her videos. Amy Porterfield, the Online Marketing Made Easy, Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn. All of those are, podcasts and books that I would keep up with regularly, just trying to figure this whole thing out. Oh, and the Jeff Walker product launch formula.
Okay.
Which for I think the first couple of times I was doing product launches of these online courses, it was really like the Bible that I was following. Yeah.
And why online? Did you not think about having a bricks and mortar business? You'd said that before that you started off with the Chamber of Commerce, and
Yeah.
I presume you had some private students that you were teaching, but you decided to go online. What were the reasons for that? What opportunities did you
It
see?
really happened. That whole transition kind of happened, I would say, by chance almost. Like I have a friend who teaches French online. Her name is Geraldine, and she teaches at communefrancaise.com, which if you want to learn French, she does fabulous stuff. And like she had been doing it for about 2 years before I started. And like I was seeing what she was doing, creating YouTube videos and creating online courses. And I was like, well, that looks like fun. I was thinking just creating the videos for, my students that I had in the companies that I was going out to. And I was like, oh, creating videos looks like fun. I want to create videos too. And so she basically showed me how to create videos, and I started creating videos. I put them on YouTube. The first ones are really bad, but they're still there and you can still see them. But even with I would say the low quality that they were, a couple of people would see the videos and they would send me an email or contact me and say, hey, I saw this video lesson that you put on YouTube. I like the way you teach. Do you teach online? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. Why not? And it really started out that way. And it was really I kept putting out a video each week. More people progressively would contact me. And that's I was working at the company that I was working at and teaching online with my own clients. And they were very supportive. And like the director, she knew it. And she was like, oh, I shared your video with this other company that we work with. So they were very supportive of that. And that allowed me to, progressively transition from working for a language school and going out to like 3 or 4 companies a day to teaching online. So I could just tell them like, hey, I don't want to work on Tuesdays anymore. And then I don't want to work on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. And then to progressively just go it alone, I'd say, go on my own. Yeah.
Okay, and you said something which really struck a chord with me, and something that Pat Flynn talks about as well is the first few videos, and same here with the first few of the podcasts. I don't know. Oh my God, I ask the same questions, use the same words.
Right.
Ho. They're not so good, are they? And Pat Flynn talks about this as well, doesn't he? And you said, oh, the first few not so good. So for a lot of people, that's a stumbling block for them, isn't it? Oh my God, I'm terrible. So you have to get over it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of advice could you give for people who are starting out and they're not so happy with the content
with the result of the work? And because that was I would shoot the video. And then I was editing the videos myself at the time. And so I'm not a video editor. So it was always, very, very homemade looking, let's say. Whereas, and you see all this other content on YouTube or podcast, and it's all very well produced and whatnot. I would say you can, maybe like accept it and acknowledge it and own it. Like to be like, hey guys, this is my very first YouTube video. I'm sure that the sound is not very good and the light's not very good, but I know that I've got to get out there and I've got to do it. So this is it. Just kind of admit that maybe that the quality is not excellent, but that it's your first step, basically. And if you don't ever take that first step, you can't take the second step, and then you can't continue that journey. And if you never start, you can't improve on it. So you have to get started at some point. And I guess the good thing with YouTube is you can, make those videos unlisted if you only want to share them with certain people, or you can just delete them at some point if you really feel totally embarrassed by them.
Okay, and I'm just looking at your homepage here. You're up to 13 million views on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Yeah.
And
so you have to start somewhere. Because,
yeah.
and I remember when I started, I was looking at, other teachers on YouTube, like English or Go Natural English. And I'm like, wow, they have like millions of subscribers and I've got 20. And I think that's another, like, you can look to other people for inspiration, but don't compare yourself and be like, wow, they're so ahead of me and I'll never be at that level. And I'm just going to not even try, because there's room for everybody out there. And yeah, they're ahead of you, but maybe they've been doing videos for 8 years longer than you have. And, it's normal that you're not at the same level.
Absolutely. And it's the internet age. You have a website, I have a website, and perhaps global companies have websites. For people visiting, they maybe have 10,000 people working on it. Right. I was talking to a company last week. They have 200 people just doing their graphics. And, maybe for you starting out was just you doing the graphics.
Exactly.
So
it was totally me doing the graphics, which, explains a lot. So
yes, and the editing as well. So you have to accept these things, don't you? That there's so many things you're not good at. There's some things you won't have time for, but eventually you'll be able to get better, or you'll be able to outsource that to somebody else.
Exactly, that's it. Yeah.
So that's where you started out. And how would you describe your videos? How would you explain the appeal of your videos? What's the magic sauce? Je ne sais quoi, is that the word?
The je ne sais quoi. The feedback that we've gotten from students, so I'm going to use their words because I think they're maybe the best people to answer that question, is that they say that it's fun, it's entertaining to watch, but it's not silly, basically. So it's a bit fun, it's a bit light, there's energy, and it's very positive, but there's also, like, you really learn something in the videos. And so I think it would be maybe that combination of trying to be a bit, just being myself, really, kind of having fun with it, not taking myself so serious. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect all the time, or I don't do 50 takes to get it exactly right. Usually most of the videos are done in one take. So it's like, put on the camera, do your thing. If you make a little mistake, well, that's okay, because we're all human. And I would say that maybe it's that mix of, it's really solid in terms of, pedagogy and learning, but also it's still, I don't know, I guess a bit entertaining. People find it entertaining. So I would say it's maybe that combination that, that people enjoy.
It kind of reminds me of copywriting. What people recommend about copywriting is try not to sound too stuffy, too professional, because people buy from people. Isn't that it?
Exactly.
The cliche, and, make yourself presentable. I think another thing I've seen about videos online, and especially explainer videos for English grammar, is that they may be explaining grammar at a certain level, but the explanations are at a much higher level, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So don't make that mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would say, because, again, and this is just through sort of trial and error, but what we have decided to, and when I say it's like me and all the people that I work with, have decided that, one of our target markets is people that are at intermediate level already, and they're trying to get up to that sort of higher, more confident level, which means that they would be able to follow, the content that we produce that is all in English, basically. I do tend to maybe articulate a bit more, or it's not so much speak slowly, but speak like I would speak if I were speaking to a group of non-native speakers. So, trying to make sure that the content meets our target audience at the level where they're at, basically.
Okay. And so you started the business, you started with the videos. So that was you, what they say, Pat Flynn says, to know, like, and trust, isn't it? So people began to know, like, and trust you. So then you make the videos. So what happens from there? How do you get the students?
How do you get the students? You just wait, and they all come knocking on your door overnight because you put a random video up on you. No, that never works. And I hate those blog posts. They're like, oh, I don't know. I just wrote a blog post and I threw it up there, and overnight I had $30,000 in my bank. And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing because I'm not doing that. Yeah. No, you do have to go out and look for the clients as well. It's, what we usually do. There's a couple of different strategies, I think. So the videos are there on YouTube, which is, to help people to learn, but it also does help to get people onto my email list. And then from the email list, or on the email list, is where we're going to usually promote, when we're doing enrollments in some of our live programs, or maybe doing an enrollment campaign for the online asynchronous courses, that kind of thing. So we do have email marketing campaigns. Also being active on LinkedIn. So this is something that I'm trying to do strategically now. Hadn't done so much of it in the past, but just being active on LinkedIn, but not just posting things on LinkedIn, but it's like posting things maybe 3 or 4 times a week, but also commenting on posts of people who are sort of in my target market, sending private messages to people, not like spammy private messages, but like, hey, thanks for liking that video that I shared on, I don't know, the grammar, the verb tenses. I imagine that you're learning English. Is that correct? Just trying to make it very conversational, but also trying to make that first contact with the person. And then also something that we're going to try this month when we do an enrollment campaign is, in addition to the email marketing campaign that we're going to do for the email list, is to actually reach out to human resources directors or, training managers that we've had contact with in the past, reaching out to past students individually, and do some kind of, I guess, like a referral program for the past students. Like, hey, do you have a coworker that would like to do this program that you did with us in the past? If they sign up, they'll get some sort of extra goodie, and you'll get some sort of extra goodie as well. And then also, and for the human resources people, we were thinking about, maybe offering them like a nice discount if they enroll 3 or more people in the program, or something like that. We haven't decided all the details of it yet, but that's going to be something that we're going to try this month, is that kind of direct reaching out to people, and trying to maybe enroll a couple of extra people that way.
Okay, and it's very generous and open of you to let us know what you're doing, and it'd be great to find out how successful it is.
Well, yeah, I was going to say I'm letting you know, but I don't know if it works yet because we never tried it, so I don't know. We'll find out. But I think that's part of the process, is that we've I work with a strategy coach, and so we've gotten to the point where we realize that the email marketing that we do works pretty well. And we're like, okay, well, what are other ways that we can, other strategies or other techniques that we can use to complement the stuff that, we have in place, and we feel like it's working pretty well. So yeah, it's just a lot of testing things. So we'll see if it works or if it doesn't work, but if we don't try it, we'll never know. So
exactly. So, am I right in saying, and from looking at your homepage as well, that it's very much the business market, business professionals?
Yes.
Would that be fair to say?
That is definitely fair to say. And we're actually in the process of redoing the homepage to make it much more clearly business professionals, including with like the colors and the photos and everything. But I think, the homepage that's there now is like a result of, again, like testing out different things. When I started out, I was doing a lot of content in French because it was specifically for the French market, learning English. And then we realized Maybe we could, reach more people if we were doing it all in English and not limiting ourselves to France. At one point, we're like, hey, let's position, I want to position myself as like, the American friend that tells you all these things about American culture and the little insights and the insider secrets and things like that. But we realized that positioning led to a lot of people there was a mismatch between the positioning and the things that we were selling. In that we got a lot of people like, hey, Christina, can you give me your WhatsApp number? I'd love to have a friend to talk to in English. And I'm just like, I don't do that. So yeah, so it's just, again, it's a lot of trial and error and testing out things and seeing, if I do this, what is the result? And is that the result I want? And if it's not, then I need to change something. And so that's kind of where we're at now. It's like, okay, we realize that through all of these different tests and trials that it's the business market that we want to really work with, because that's what we do well. And that's, companies have more money than individuals. Individuals who do have the money are more willing to invest because it's for their career and it's not just, to go on vacation or to watch a movie on Netflix or something like that. And so, yeah, and that means that we've got to, maybe update and work on the site a bit in order to reflect that positioning that we're going towards. Yeah.
Okay. And another thing I'm sure you're well aware of from reading the same books is niching and niching down.
Yeah.
So when somebody says, okay, I'm going after the business market. Well, that's completely generic, isn't it?
Right. It's totally huge. Yeah.
Yes. So specifically, what industries, what departments, what kind of people are you targeting? What kind of level of executive, for example?
Yeah. So I would say in terms of level. So yeah, the level is like the people that are they're at that level where they can do the job in English more or less, but most of the time they're not feeling comfortable. They're not confident. They might prefer to just stay silent in a meeting rather than to try to express their ideas. And that leads to frustration. So it's kind of that level, intermediate plateau. And they want to just get to where they feel normal speaking English. Basically, they don't have to think about it so much. In terms of industry, we haven't really niched down and said like we work with, I don't know, like the oil and gas industry or something. So it is a bit more generic in terms of industry. But we do have 3, customer avatars, which tend to be sort of higher level managers in companies. So they, maybe need to do things like manage teams in English, attend lots of meetings in English, that kind of thing. Entrepreneurs and small business owners who want to be able maybe to create content online in English to promote their business, or just be able to go into new markets where the language of work with their client would be English. And then the other one is sort of those human resources and training managers, because they, can, let's say, bring us in maybe a couple of students at a time instead of, one student or one person each time.
Okay, so what you said there about customer avatars, and this is, I would say, a difficulty. It's a frustration maybe for some people starting out there.
It's a frustration for me.
Well, of course, it's a frustration for everybody.
Years.
So
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, who do you go after? And there's the loss aversion, isn't there? There's oh my God, if I go for this, maybe I'm missing out on this one. And sorry, I just wanted to put it together with another question I had on the same level, which is about pricing. So 2 things I want to talk about. Was, choosing the customer and then choosing what to charge.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I guess, there does have to be some sort of coherence there, I would say. Just in the sense, like if you're, I don't know, maybe there's somebody who's done this successfully, but I can't imagine, trying to sell like a learn English for your next vacation program at 2,000 euros. because I'm like, well, that's more than the vacation itself, So it does tend to, in order for us to sell higher priced products, and the 3-month live programs, they tend to run in the 1,200 to 2,500 euro range, basically. So we do have a lot of people, either their company is paying for it, or if they're in France, the French government gives French people money to do training, so they'll use that budget for it. And then we do get some people who just pay for it, themselves out of pocket. But I would say that, trying to make your price fit the market that you're in. And then as to like, how do you determine those prices? The way we determine prices for a package like that is I'm going to do the math and see like, well, if there's this online course and if there's this, like the conversation club that's included, really just adding that up. And then also looking at, how many teacher hours are in that package. And then doing, just calculating, well, if I'm paying the teacher this much, how much do I need to add on top of that to help, cover, paying the assistant, paying the developer, paying the video editor, paying, all the expenses that go into running a business, paying myself a little bit from that also. And just, it really is like doing the math and figuring out what works. And then it's a question of testing it and trying and seeing what works and what, doesn't work. We've done quite a lot of testing with prices to try to find like, what's the tipping point, like at what point do we see that maybe there are fewer people signed up because we crossed some kind of psychological threshold. A concrete example of that is we had one program, it was priced at 499 euros. And then for the next time we launched it, we increased that a little bit to like, I don't know, it was like 549 or something like that. And we noticed that we sold twice as many at 499 than at 549. So we thought, the hypothesis is maybe there's that 500 euro psychological barrier that prevented 50% of the people from, buying when it was just 50 euros higher in price. So it is, it's calculating what it costs to run the program. What sort of margin do you need to put on top of that to cover your business expenses? And then just kind of, testing it and seeing, what works in terms of uptake at which price. And I would say one of the big things that we do is a lot of reports, and like we call them postmortems. After we do a launch, I'll take pretty much the entire day to write out like a 12-page report on this is what we did, this is what worked, this is what didn't work, this is how it compared to previous launches, this is what I want to try for the next time that we launch. And really, I would say, yeah, there's a lot of tracking and testing and recording that goes into it in order to be able to try out different things in a kind of strategic way.
And taking into account your competitors, how do you price yourself versus what they're offering?
To be honest, I don't think I look at what the competitors are doing that much. I don't think I might, if I happen to go onto another teacher's website, of course I'm going to go and look at their programs and see kind of what they're charging. But I don't think that I really use that. I don't think that influences me so much. I really feel like it's more of, we're going to try it out with what works with our audience and our market. Because you can go onto another teacher's website and you can see what they're doing and you can see what they're charging, but you don't know, maybe exactly what's in there. You don't know who their audience is or what their whole like experience is. I almost feel like it's a little like, I like to go running. And if I'm running and I feel like I'm giving my all and I see someone fly past me, I never try to compare myself to them, because I'm like, you know what, that person might be, I don't know, like the fifth best runner in the entire country and I just don't know it. So I'm not going to compare myself to them.
Okay, good advice. And keeping students, I mean, how long what's the average life cycle of your student? I mean, if they're, for example, if you're teaching for exams like IELTS, TOEFL, it's going to be maybe short term, but with business people, do you find that people come on board and maybe stay for a year, 2 years? How?
Yeah, well, most of the live program, let's see, we've got 2 flagship live programs that are packaged up as 3-month programs. So it's like they finished the program, they finished, and that's the end of it. But we do have some people that finish up that program, that 3-month program, and then they'll say, I did all of this work. I'm happy with where I'm at now, but I know that if I stop, I'm going to lose everything I've worked up to. So I want to continue. What do you have for me to continue, but maybe something a bit less intense? And then they might sign up just for the conversation club or just for individual lessons. Or we have had some people that they'll do the 3-month program, they'll finish it. They might, go away for a few months. And then the next time we open it up, they say, I'd like to sign up again for it. Because it is, live programs. It's the same program, but it's not necessarily the same content because the teacher is really adapting to them in the sessions.
Okay. And you also, you mentioned that the students come back, you find out what they liked, what they didn't like, what may be suitable for them in the future. So you obviously have to have good customer service, good follow-up questions, good needs analysis.
Yeah. We do, part of that, and it's something that we just started doing in the past year, is actually there is one person on our team. She's got the role of student success coordinator, and her job is when someone signs up for a program, she has an individual welcome appointment with them. It's 30 minutes to explain to them how everything works, like where are the links, who is their teacher, how, just helping them to understand what's going on now that they've come into this program. We have documents. We give them very simple names. So it's like the welcome appointment. There's the welcome document, which recaps everything for them with all their links. A week after they start, she just sends them an email to say, hey, you've been in the program a week. I just want to make sure everything's okay for you, that you're finding your way. If you have any questions, here's my calendar, book an appointment. She'll check in with them halfway through the program, sort of the same kind of message. And then at the end of the program as well, we send them a questionnaire to get their feedback, to invite them to have an appointment with me, because I even though I'm actually not doing the majority of the teaching, in fact, because it's the teachers that do the majority of the teaching, I do like to have, that sort of close contact with the people that go through the programs. So maybe at the end of the program, they can set up a meeting with me, and I can just talk to them and see like, hey, how did it go? What did you like? Any suggestions? And we make notes of that. And when we do see a suggestion that we feel like it's really pertinent and it could, definitely improve, we do try to implement. We can't implement everything, of course. But, if we see something and we're like, yeah, you know what, you're right, we should do that. We will try to put that in place.
Okay, so I want to touch some fantastic takeaways there already. I want to touch on something we talked about while we were organizing the interview, and that was staying organized. So you're at a place, we didn't really talk too much about it, but you started off on your own, and now you have 8 people. So your life has changed. You were teaching, you were a solopreneur, and now you're managing, and you have. So tell me about how your life has changed, how you keep things on track.
Yeah. Because I think, and it's funny because just this morning, I was putting a message out to the team because we're organizing this new launch, the new enrollment campaign. In the past, it was mostly me, writing the emails, writing the video scripts, taking care of all that. And I'm like, all right, now it's like 4 of us working on this campaign. I can't just have the calendar in my head. I actually have to put it, in the system for you guys so you can know what's going on. So one of the things that has really helped is that we do use a tool called Basecamp to communicate and coordinate, to share documents. So we put the documents on Google Drive because it's shared and anyone can edit the document. But we keep them in a library in Basecamp so that anyone can, have a quick and easy access to the documents. For enrollment and keeping track of the student when they come in, who's their teacher, when they finish the program, we love spreadsheets, basically, and we have massive amounts of spreadsheets. But that's the thing that makes it very clear and easy for us to just go into, the spreadsheet for one program and really see how many people are in this program, when did they start, what's their email address if we need to contact them, when do they finish, and this Christina, her name is Christina, the student success coordinator. Also, that's her name. Also, she's got her own spreadsheets as well, where she keeps track of what day do I need to check in with this person? What day did they finish so that I send them their, end of program email. So it really taking the time to set up the systems. And, a lot of times I think we are I've got to get this done and tick it off my to-do list and move on to the next thing. I don't have the time to, record a tutorial video for my assistant, or I don't have time to go through the process with someone and explain it. But what I've realized is that you can take an hour or 2 out of your busy schedule to explain or create a tutorial or a guide, and then you can delegate it to someone, and it's going to cost you maybe 2 hours up front, but it's going to maybe save you 2 hours, I don't know, per week or per day, because you can give that off to someone and that they feel comfortable doing it and that they're doing it the right way, and you can eventually stop thinking about it, basically.
I can relate because before I put her either on the EFL magazine website, there's a Write for Us page, and before it was it was pretty basic information and just the email address. Now we put in a lot of work, what we look for, how to write an article, what works, what doesn't work. It took a long time, but people just go there now and they're like, oh, this is a real mine of information. And if we want to send through an article, and they send through the bio, the pics, everything. So we don't have to keep emailing back and forth with them. So, and what they say in the books as well, isn't it, is that an employee manual. That's basically what you're making.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. And it's those things, they take time to create, but in the end, it's going to save you time because you don't have to do it yourself, basically.
Yes, it's just a process in place, and people know exactly what the parameters are, and everything should work smoothly. What has not worked for you, in building? What do you find as regards to, let's say, marketing or organization? I know it's a big question, but some things that are not so good, that maybe not so efficient,
that haven't worked for us. One of the, I guess, the frustrations that I've had, because I have learned a lot of this stuff just through, following blogs or videos, or, buying some courses on how to do it, things like that. And I feel that, you'll get advice where it's write 1,500 word emails, because the people that, if they're your target market, they're going to read that email. And I'm like, English is not their language, and I'm writing in English. Even if they're my ideal client, I can't write a 1,500 word email for them. So I found that a lot of advice that you find in these, online marketing blogs, podcasts, courses, and things like that, we often tried it, we applied it sort of as it was taught, and we're like, well, that didn't work. So it's things the things like longer, more in-depth content. Know that we now try to limit ourselves to 500 words in our emails. Things like, one of the people I follow is Ramit Sethi, and he's like, do your product launches, make it 5 days. Our audience, they don't have they need longer to process, to understand it. Maybe I think it's perhaps also a difference between, an American audience, and maybe my audience is mostly European, but not exclusively. I kind of feel like Americans are like, hey, I'll buy it and then I'll decide if I want it later. Whereas I think my audience is more like, I need information. I want to think about it. It's in English. That's not my language. I want to be sure that I understand. Like they're a lot slower. So if we did short product launches like that, it's like it's open and closed before they even realized something was going on. So now we do them like a month long, just to have that additional, I'd say, thinking time, to give the people that thinking time. So I would say in a nutshell, what hasn't worked is taking all of the advice from the classic well-known online marketers and applying it without adapting it to the fact that my audience is purchasing something in English and English is not their language. You just have to adapt things to make it more accessible for them. Okay.
So I know we're kind of coming towards the end. You're such a busy, successful person. So I just wanted to, what's for the future? I mean, you've how long did you get to 8 people, and what? So how many people?
I was going to say I think, I would say I'd started in early 2015. So it's been about 6 years now. And that I don't want to grow to get bigger for the sake of getting bigger. Like becoming bigger is not one of my objectives. I'm like, we'll get bigger when we see that we need to get bigger, because there is that demand that is there. And in order for us to continue providing good service, we need to bring on more people. So I would say, we just brought on 3 teachers a few weeks ago. And so I'd say for right now, the goal is just really to make sure that they're like feeling good in the team, and that they're feeling good in working with us, and they're enjoying it and feeling comfortable and all of that. And then after that, we'll see. But I do have my strategy coach. She does give me, she's like, each year we're going to have a theme. And the theme for 2021, it's refinement. So it's like, we're not creating any new courses or new programs, but we're taking what we're already doing and we're just getting better at it. And then once we kind of lock that into place and we feel like we're, pretty solid with all of the things that we're doing already, then we can look at something else. So that's my objective, refining for 2021, and then we'll see after that.
Okay, great. And Christina, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you again. And Christina's site is Christina Rebuffet.com. And if I'm sure if people want to contact you on LinkedIn, if they want to work with you or for you, definitely. Or, if you want to new students, you can contact Christina there.
Exactly.
So Christina, thanks again.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the EFL Magazine Business Podcast with Philip Pound. For more great advice and resources, check out eflmagazine.com. If you found this podcast helpful, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. See you next time.